at university, we are constantly to be told to take part in extracurricular activities. What were you involved in and how has that helped you so far?
Extracurricular, look, I never did any sports or any performing arts. So I don't know how extra they were, but I did a few competitions. I guess that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Which were pretty much related. No, they were all absolutely related to the industry. So they were, I don't know if you can call them extra, just that they weren't a part of our regular semester subject system. But yes, so I took part in a few competitions with the intention at first that I would get to learn new softwares, if not learn them, be exposed to them. And that led to being exposed to different systems in the industry and different processes, and yeah, a lot of those things, like what's actually happening. Sometimes you don't get to learn enough by just doing those 4 subjects. So I actually attended a lecture at the university where I do not remember who delivered it, but the person who was mentioned that you should always have a 5th subject, and the 5th one should be something that you want to do, that makes your CV better or you better for the job that you're going to be doing. So it could be anything. It could be volunteering work, it could be something to do with academics, it could be something to do with just getting a work experience on your CV. So that's what from that day, like, I started to devote time to my 5th subject, and that included all these competitions I did, and that gives you a lot of exposure to the industry in a way that your subjects cannot. So yes, that's what I did, and that was fun. While you're in the university, you have access to so many resources, and you do have a lot of time if you're not working full time. So those are things I put my time into. Yeah,
truly, I believe, and I believe that the volunteer activities and some competition can help the students to get exposure in the industry. That's what we talk about networks, to get the people know us better, especially the uni students will need that for getting their first job. And also the competition can expand their knowledge in this industry instead of just knowing the subject in university. So that is a very good point, Zari.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
So our next question is, from your experience, you are a member of the Young Quantity Surveyors of AIQS, and we want to know, how does your group do and why do you think others should be involved in it?
So we're a small group under AIQS, like you said, and AIQS is Australian Institute of Quantity Surveyors. We look after the social events that happen in Melbourne for AIQS. Look after in the sense we help organize them. So one event every 2 months is our aim. That probably fell through during the last 2 lockdown years, but anyway, we'll get that back up and running. Why should people join YQS? Well, you don't have to join YQS, but you should join AIQS. But if you want to, like, why I joined YQS was because I realized I want to become a QS, and then this was the biggest body for quantity surveyors in Australia, right? The biggest authority. And if they had a spot where I could volunteer, then why not? I kind of got a peek into the quantity surveying industry as a student, which I wouldn't have otherwise. So in YQS, there's quantity surveyors from different companies, obviously. So, getting to talk to them and knowing them on sort of an informal level also, knowing about their offices at an informal level. Like that wasn't my agenda to just go and network. I wanted to also give some time to volunteering and then into a body that that I felt was important. We were even studying about AIQS method of measurement and those kind of things in our subject. So I was intrigued. So in case someone is intrigued about what AIQS does, wants to know more about them, you can know more about them without joining YQS also. But yeah, it's fun. I've been with them for almost 3 years, so we're like a very small, almost 3 years. Yes, I think started very, very long back, it feels. But yeah.
So
and then you can sorry,
I was just asking, so was you involved in AIQS since you was a student?
Correct. So I wasn't even a QS then when I joined YQS. I knew I wanted to become a QS. I don't know if it helped me. It probably did, not very directly, but indirectly. Yeah. So it was good. As a student, it was very valuable for me. Now it's like I have to take out time when I'm working till 6 if there's a meeting at 6:30. But as a student, I was way more enthusiastic to do it. However, I still like it. You probably know what I mean. Same thing with CIOB.
Yeah. So it sounds like joining an organization or an association can help the students, especially if they got a full-time study but no job, they got leisure time to spend. So devoting your time in the organization, your industry is a very good option, like Zari said, to get exposure and get more insight about this industry. And you can, along the way, you also can know some the friends and your future colleague maybe in this organization. So yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So next one will be, what are the top 3 things help you most in transitioning from university life to work life?
Top 3 things. So from my university life to work life would probably not be the typical scenario for someone who's doing it for the first time, because I had worked earlier. So I would say that was one of my topmost things, my previous work experience. So I knew what working in a company would be like. I knew what sitting on a desk for 8.5 hours felt like, because for the first time when you do it, you actually get body ache. So just knowing my expectations, having them laid out helped me, first thing. So if you have any prior experience, you can draw from that, which you will. I don't need to tell you that. Secondly, exposure to the Australian construction industry, because that's where you are, right? You may have come from another country, but this is where you are now. So whether it's through your university or your part-time jobs or even organizations like CIOB, AIQS, AIB, whatever, you go for those site visits, etc. If you get whatever exposure you get, which is relevant to the industry, that helps. What's the third thing? I guess along the way, you kind of build your CV and you get a good set of references. So people who will provide references for you if needed. That helps because, it's your first job. You might not know anyone. It's a new place altogether. So throughout the university tenure, which is 2 years, 3 years, whatever, you probably should build a set of references. So referees,
referees, okay. I do want to know more about the referees. So except the referees from our last job, what do you think for the uni students they can choose referees from?
Yeah, so uni students, some may not have had a job previously, right? So they could develop relationships with their tutors or someone they've interned for, or their lecturers, or even their peers, or again, like an organization that they work for, like volunteered for. There are people within that organization who work in companies, so they could act as their referees. And yeah, you can, your faculty, I would say, is your first pool of people where you can get that from. Yeah.
Yes. Well said, Zari. I do believe these suggestions and advice is helpful for university students, especially like you mentioned, the students may not get many referees at their first job. So it's really beneficial for students to stay connected with their tutor, with their lecturer, and also the volunteer organizer to get some reference help. So yes, that will be a good thing for students to know. And we'll jump to our final questions. And if you can tell a final one tip to young graduates and university students, what would that be?
I don't know if I'm the best person to give anyone a tip, but when you're in the university, you should make the most of being there rather than just thinking about the jobs. Like, you're in a course which is for a finite duration, 2 years, 3 years, then that's not going to come back once you're out of it. So just make the most of it in terms of, again, the resources you have access to, some of the events you can go to, some of the memberships you can get, all the exposure that, like my university where I studied, University of Melbourne, could provide. You should make the most of it. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yes.
What about you? What would you say?
I can tell final one tip for young graduates. I would like to say same answer as you, to get more involved in the industry as more as you can, because that is what you need as foundation to join this industry. Like you mentioned, to attend some events and talk to people, express ourselves. That's a really good way to get exposure and get people know us. Yes, so that is very meaningful for the university students.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so excellent. And thank you, Zari, so much for your time devoting to us for today, the podcasting. And I do believe the content today will be so much helpful for the students secure a position along the way for their career. So we'll finish here today, and everyone who looking at LinkedIn, and feel free to connect with Zari, and I encourage everyone to follow our LinkedIn page, which is CIOB Tomorrow Leaders Victoria. So we will finish here today, and thank you, Zari. Looking forward to hear from you next time.
Thank you, Ivanka. Thank you so much for setting this up. Great job for the students. All right. I will see you next time sometime.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye so much.
Bye, everyone.